Carol, we're seeing first quarter AWS net sales coming in strong beat, $13.5 billion. That was estimates of $13.1 billion. Total first quarter net sales, $108.5 billion, wow, beating estimates of $104.6 billion. They beat on the bottom line by, well, $6, $15.80 versus estimates of $9.70. So you're seeing really a top and the bottom line as operating income is better. Online store sales, those net sales, Caroline, $15.9 billion versus estimates of $50.6. I could keep running you through the horse race, but frankly, it just looks like even the forward guidance way better than expected on the top line.
And this is a year where, of course, we now start to see some of the costs that have been pushed up because of COVID, some of the protection they've had to give to some of their employees, for example, dialing back down again as the world, we hope, continues on this reopening path. Many felt that for Amazon, margins is where it's going to be for the rest of the year. Net sales continuing to increase overall. And as you say, AWS, this has been the workhorse for Amazon as well. Amazon Web Services really putting it out about $13.5 billion. So this is seeing more than double-digit growth for the leader when it comes to overall provision for this sort of area of web services, Tim.
Yeah, absolutely the leader. But hey, there is a lot of competition now. Microsoft is among those who are competing closely with the company when it comes to Amazon Web Services. But make no mistake, Amazon invented this category. It's not by any means close to the biggest category and the biggest segment that Amazon has, but it is by far the most profitable. And one thing that investors have been concerned about recently is profit margins there as the competition does increase. We saw those numbers from Microsoft earlier this week, and then Google, as we know, increasingly getting into it with Google's cloud products as well.
You know, what's interesting, too, is that outlook, second quarter net sales, because, listen, what we've been wondering, everybody, about is what happens as the world reopens? What happens to e-commerce sales, which has been so important to Amazon's bottom line at this point? We're going to be listening on their call with analysts about what they have to say about forward guidance and even more about visibility and outlook, because as we all move out into the world to experience things, what does that mean for Amazon specifically, Taylor?
You know, and you just have to laugh at some of the headlines we get from Jeff Bezos, who's putting out a comment, of course, in the press release, talking about his babies, right? They're 10 and 15 years old. It is Amazon Prime, he's saying, turning 10. You have more than 175 million Prime members, talking about that streaming. And in 15 years, that's his second child, AWS becoming a $54 billion annual sales run rate business, really competing. It's accelerating 32% year over year. It is really highlighting that is that high margin business, Caroline, the cloud sales competition, but indeed holding their own.
And if we hold on to these numbers in after-hours trading, in proper trading tomorrow, this will be a record high for Amazon. Of course, remember, we're looking for that sort of level of 3,500 or so, and it's now at 3,655. So record high in terms of share price for Amazon if they hold on to these after-hours gains. Meanwhile, Gilead is coming out. Well, let's talk biotech. It's maintaining its quarterly dividend of 71 cents a share. They're coming out with first quarter revenue, $6.4 billion. The estimate, though, was for $6.74 billion, so it is a miss overall. Adjusting earnings per share coming in just ahead of expectations, $2.08. The estimate was for $2.07. So clearly, once again, biotech, some of those other non-COVID related companies, Carol, not doing as well.
No, not as well. And I got to say, though, we're going to all be focusing on throughout the evening into tomorrow's trade about Amazon and watching that trade here in the after hours, because, again, some of these numbers, some of these companies, we know they've been growth companies, but they continue to blow away some of the estimates. And when you look at some of their numbers and what they say about the outlook, again, going back to the second quarter net sales number, 110 to 116 billion, that is above the estimate that's out there of 108.35 billion, Tim.
One number that I'm keeping an eye on is when it comes to guidance is how much the company is saying it's going to spend on COVID-19 costs and costs related to COVID-19. The company's saying Amazon guidance assuming $1.5 billion of costs related to COVID-19. Just think back over the last 14 months and how Amazon has been one of those essential businesses, what the company has done when it comes to delivering goods to Americans and internationally during the pandemic.